At a depth of 12 feet, buried beneath decades of dark water, silt, and complete silence, lay a secret that was never meant to stay hidden. In September of 1998, a 22-year-old mother and her toddler daughter vanished into a violent storm. For 23 years, investigators chased phantom leads, suspect theories, and cold trails. But the answer wasn't hundreds of miles away across state lines. It was just a few feet off the main road, resting on a riverbed in absolute darkness. Cases like Samantha's are a heartbreaking reminder of how quickly a routine drive can turn into a decades-long mystery, and how many families are still waiting for answers. If you believe these forgotten stories deserve to be brought back to light, dropping a quick like helps ensure more people see them. And subscribing means you won't miss the next investigation. To truly understand how a young mother and her child could simply vanish into thin air, we have to go back to September 11th, 1998, in the quiet town of Russellville, Arkansas. 22-year-old Samantha Hopper was a dedicated, loving mother whose entire world revolved around her family. Friends and neighbors remembered her as grounded, quiet, and deeply attached to her young children. On that Friday afternoon, Samantha was preparing for what was supposed to be a short, routine weekend trip. She packed up her blue 1989 Ford Tempo, carefully strapped her 22-month-old daughter, Courtney Holt, into her car seat and got ready to hit the road toward Little Rock. The plan was simple and straightforward. Samantha was going to drop little Courtney off so she could be looked after for the weekend, while Samantha herself continued on to Cabot, Arkansas, to attend a long-awaited baby shower for a close friend. It was a drive Samantha had made before, roughly an hour and a half down two-lane state routes flanked by dense forestry, open pastures, and rural waterways. But as the late afternoon faded into twilight, weather conditions across Pope County began to deteriorate rapidly. A severe late summer thunderstorm rolled over the region, bringing heavy downpours, severe wind, and blinding rain that drastically reduced visibility on unlit country roads. Despite the worsening weather, Samantha loaded the car, turned on the headlights, and pulled out of the driveway around dusk. That was the last time anyone ever saw the blue Ford Tempo in motion. When Samantha failed to show up at the drop-off location that evening, concern began to build. Though relatives initially assumed the storm had forced her to pull over or take a longer detour. But as Friday night turned into Saturday morning and phone calls went unanswered, panic set in. Samantha had never arrived at the baby shower in Cabot. She hadn't called. She hadn't checked in. By Saturday afternoon, the awful reality became impossible to ignore. A mother and her toddler had vanished somewhere along the storm-drenched highways of Arkansas, leaving behind no clues, no skid marks, and no indication of where their journey had come to an end. In the hours following the realization that Samantha and little Courtney were missing, local law enforcement launched an immediate search effort. Officers retraced the most likely routes Samantha would have taken between Russellville, Little Rock, and Cabot. State troopers scanned highway shoulders, checked gas stations along the corridor, and interviewed family members and friends. But from the very beginning, the investigation faced massive hurdles. The heavy thunderstorm on the night of September the 11th had washed away any immediate physical evidence. There were no visible tire marks veer off the asphalt, no broken guardrails, and no shattered glass along the roadways. To make matters worse, cell phone tracking in 1998 was in its infancy, and location data was far too crude to pinpoint a specific area. As days stretched into weeks without a single piece of evidence, rumors and wild theories began to fill the void. Investigators were forced to consider every possibility. Had Samantha deliberately chosen to disappear to start a new life? Had she been intercepted by someone with malicious intent at a secluded gas station? Or had she fallen victim to foul play along a lonely stretch of highway? Detectives followed dozens of tips, crossed state lines to verify potential sightings, and repeatedly questioned acquaintances. Yet every single lead led to a dead end. No activity was ever recorded on Samantha's bank accounts. Her social security number remained completely dark. It was as if a young mother, her baby daughter, and a 2-ton blue sedan had simply vanished into thin air. Over the years, the momentum faded. The active search operations were scaled back. The case files were placed into storage, and the file was officially categorized as a cold case. For 23 long years, Samantha's family lived in a harrowing limbo, torn between the faint hope of a resolution and the constant, painful agony of unanswered questions. For more than 2 decades, the disappearance of Samantha Hopper and her daughter Courtney remained frozen in time. The paper case files sat in the archives of local law enforcement, accumulating dust while the family lived through an endless nightmare. But in the late 2010s and early 2020s, a major shift began occurring in the world of cold case investigations. A new wave of independent search and recovery organizations began stepping in, where official law enforcement resources had reached their limits. Equipped with specialized training, deep-water diving gear, and cutting-edge marine technology, these civilian teams began re-examining cold cases through a fresh, highly analytical lens. In early 2021, expert searchers turned their attention to the long-forgotten file of Samantha Hopper. Instead of searching blindly across vast stretches of county land, the team approached the mystery with a methodical, geographical mindset. They remapped Samantha's intended route from Russellville toward Little Rock, analyzing every bridge, every sharp curve, and every body of water that sat within striking distance of the main state highways. When investigators reevaluated the night of September 11, 1998, one critical factor stood out above everything else: the violent thunderstorm. Driving down an unlit 2-lane rural highway in blinding rain with worn windshield wipers dramatically increases the chance of a sudden off-road event. In conditions like that, a driver can easily mistake a flooded shoulder for a lane, overcorrect on wet asphalt or hydroplane completely out of control, and if a vehicle slides off the road at 50 miles per hour, vegetation, steep embankments, and deep water can swallow it within seconds, leaving virtually no trace on the road surface above. The search team identified a key location that had been largely overlooked during the initial 1998 search: a body of water situated right beside Highway 64 near a bridge crossing in Pope County. On paper, local authorities had checked nearby lakes back in the late 90s, but their methods were severely limited. In 1998, water searches relied heavily on visual scans from boats or divers physically feeling their way through pitch-black, murky water with zero visibility. If a car was submerged in 12 feet of water and covered in river silt, a diver could pass within 5 feet of it and never know it was there. To solve a mystery that had lasted 23 years, the new search team brought out a piece of technology that completely transformed marine recovery: side-scan sonar. Unlike traditional fish finders that shoot a sound beam straight down, side-scan sonar emits high-frequency acoustic pulses in wide, fan-shaped arcs across the waterbed. As these sound waves bounce off submerged objects, they create a detailed, shadow-based acoustic image of the riverbed in real time on a monitor. It allows searchers to see through muddy, pitch-black water as if the lake had been completely drained. At this point in 1998, authorities were convinced Samantha had chosen to leave the state on her own, leading the investigation away from the local roads. Looking back at the route now, what would you have done differently in those critical first 48 hours? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Equipped with this high-resolution imaging technology, the team launched their boat onto the dark waters near Highway 64. They knew that somewhere beneath the calm surface, an answer was waiting to be uncovered. The search operation began early in the morning under a heavy overcast sky. The water in the basin off Highway 64 was dark, thick with sediment and completely opaque. To the naked eye standing on the shoreline, the lake looked like a peaceful, undisturbed body of water. But beneath the surface lay decades of accumulated debris, fallen trees, discarded metal, and thick layers of river mud. The search team slowly maneuvered their boat across the target area, moving in grid patterns at less than 2 knots per hour. On board, all eyes were glued to the side-scan sonar monitor. Every pass of the boat sent acoustic waves sweeping across the lake bed, translating invisible underwater terrain into detailed visual imagery. Searching for a submerged vehicle is rarely a quick process. Rivers and lakes are filled with objects that mimic the shape of a car on sonar screens. Sunken logs, metallic trash, rock formations, and old drainage pipes can all cast shadows that look remarkably like a chassis or a roof line. During the first few hours of the operation, the team hit multiple false alarms. Each time a promising shape appeared on the monitor, the boat had to be anchored, the sonar data reanalyzed, and in some cases, a diver had to descend into the murky water to physically verify the target. One anomaly turned out to be an abandoned metal dumpster. Another was simply a cluster of submerged hardwood trees. The mental toll of these false alarms was immense. With every false hit, the heavy realization set in that if the car wasn't in this sector, another cold case might remain unsolved forever. But the team pressed on, expanding their grid search closer to the steep embankment running parallel to the highway. Then, during a slow pass along a section of the lake just off a curve in the road, the sonar screen lit up with a distinct, unambiguous signal. Unlike the irregular shapes of natural debris, this object displayed sharp structural lines. The acoustic shadow revealed a rectangular roofline, 4 distinct contours matching wheels, and a trunk profile. The dimensions were undeniable. It was a compact 4-door sedan resting upside down in roughly 12 feet of water, deeply embedded in the silt. A heavy silence fell over the search boat. The team knew they were looking at a grave that had been undisturbed for 23 years. To confirm the finding, a diver geared up and entered the freezing, zero-visibility water, guided down a line attached to a marker buoy. Reaching the bottom, the diver swept his hands through the silt, feeling for metal. Within seconds, his hands made contact with a rusted frame, a bumper, and the distinct outline of an old 1980s taillight. Further inspection confirmed the tragic truth. The vehicle resting on the lake bed was indeed the blue 1989 Ford Tempo belonging to Samantha Hopper. After 23 years of unanswered questions, false leads, and agonizing doubt, the missing car had finally been found, less than 50 yards from the highway Samantha had driven on that stormy night, 1998. With the vehicle officially identified, the search team immediately notified the Pope County Sheriff's Office and state authorities. Local law enforcement arrived on scene, securing the area and closing off the stretch of highway to begin the heavy extraction process. A large tow crane was brought in to pull the submerged Ford Tempo from the deep silt. As the mechanical winches slowly lifted the rusted sedan out of the water, the severe structural damage to the front bumper and undercarriage became visible. Forensic investigators were able to piece together the tragic sequence of events from September 11, 1998. During the blinding rainstorm, Samantha had been navigating the dark highway when her vehicle likely hydroplaned or drifted onto the saturated shoulder. In a split second, the sedan slid down the steep, overgrown embankment, flipped upside down as it entered the deep water basin, and quickly submerged. Trapped in pitch-black water during a violent storm, there was no chance of escape. Because the car sank beneath heavy foliage, it was completely hidden from passersby and highway patrols on the road above. Inside the vehicle, human remains were recovered and subsequently sent to the state crime lab for DNA verification. The test officially confirmed what the family had feared for over 2 decades. Samantha Hopper and her 22-month-old daughter, Courtney Holt, had remained inside the car since the night they vanished. While the discovery brought overwhelming grief, it also provided something the family had been denied for 23 years: truth, clarity, and the ability to finally lay their loved ones to rest with dignity. Samantha's surviving family members expressed profound gratitude to the volunteer search team whose dedication and advanced technology made the discovery possible when all official leads had failed. The story of Samantha and Courtney Hopper is a solemn reminder of how fragile life can be and how easily a tragic accident can be hidden by nature just steps away from our daily routines. Across the country, hundreds of missing person files remain open, waiting for modern technology and determined searchers to bring answers home. If this story impacted you, please consider liking the video and leaving your thoughts in the comments. To continue exploring deep dive investigations, unresolved mysteries, and incredible search and recovery missions, click on the video appearing on your screen right now. Thank you for watching and stay safe.